Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. We're back to the moon and we're back to Apollo 8 yet again. I've been going through a lot of these Apollo 8 images recently. There's some really cool stuff in these, honestly guys. You've got to check these out. This is on the Flickr website, and we're looking at Apollo 8 magazine 12D, okay? And this was taken back in 1968, I think, and there's some great stuff in here. I'll just crack straight on with it. But before we do look at the images I've got for you, I'd just like to confirm that this video I did recently, giant white moon tower confirmed from Earth, this is Apollo 16, there's been a few more comments from astronomers out there. Here's one of them, who also confirms that he can see this structure from Earth. His name is Blibit, and he goes on to say, I've seen it in my telescope, but from a different angle. I'll record it and send you a short video of it next time next full moon we get, as long as I get a decently dry night. I need a fairly dry atmosphere, and in Florida it is hit and miss for that. Most people with an 8-inch mirror or larger reflector type telescope should be able to see it if they have a good 3 times or 5 times Barlow lens multiplier. It is very real, as are hundreds of building dish type antennas, large processing facilities and various types, and God knows what else. I do think we were there once, as in living there, but as Graham Hancock likes to point out, we are a species with amnesia. Okay, so you can check out that comment on the video, giant white moon tower. I'm just going to show you a bit of this, just to confirm what it looks like and where to look. And if you want to find out how to find this from Earth, just check out this video. It does give you kind of directions on where to look on the moon, what part of the moon to look at, and what part to zoom in on. Okay, so there it is. And I've also had a very cool guy called Mike Zoetmulder, who's an ex-employee of NASA and an engineer who used to work for a subcontractor, I think, for NASA, building various parts and thermal tiles, that kind of thing, for the space shuttle and other space missions. And he's been sending me some 3D images that he's been doing on his computer using a 3D sort of imaging program. And he's done a 3D image of this tower. Okay, I'm just going to let that play through a little bit. Let it zoom in a bit. There it is. Now that's the raw image. No, that's enhanced actually. You can quite clearly see a tower there, and it's got a base structure to it. Okay, there's the enhanced blue filter, and there's also a structure next to it here, like a square thing here. Okay, but you can see that there's a base structure to it, so it's actually fixed to the ground, and this is miles and miles high. Estimated somewhere between 2 and 5, possibly taller. Okay, and there seems to be something coming off the top of it as well. And he's done a really cool illustration of that, which he sent me a few weeks ago, and here it is, the giant white moon tower that can be seen from Earth. And he's done a nice sort of octagonal base structure to it, like there is in the original image, and it has this kind of ball on the top, or some kind of structure on top of it, and there we have it. And I think that's really cool. He did a number of pictures of it for me. This was the best one, I think, because it's nice and clear. And he's also done a lot of other anomalies that I've found, including some of the Mars finds I've done, which I will be showing in later videos. So I will be coming back to Mike Z or Mike Zoetmulder's work again and again, because he's going to be sending me stuff regularly. And some of it, well, it's all really cool if you ask me. Some of the Mars stuff is awesome as well. So keep your eye open for that. Those will be coming up in coming weeks, okay? So there we have it. That's what the giant moon tower, white moon tower, looks like in 3D, okay? In a 3D image. Awesome. Excellent work. What can I say? Absolutely brilliant. I really love it, and I can't wait to see more of his work when he sends it to me. Looking forward to that. So more to come from him in the next few weeks and coming months. Let's crack on with this one now. Now this image, as I said, is Apollo 8 yet again, and this one is upside down. So the first thing, of course, you're going to have to do is turn it round, the image, and have a good look at it. I've got it in here. It's been flipped round, and I've made an image map of all the anomalies in this image, and there's quite a few. I may not cover all of them in this video. I'm just going to gloss over some of the other things that are in this image, which are probably just image artifacts. In other words, you have things like this, which is probably a human hair, just here. Now that's gone onto the photograph before it was scanned and digitized, okay? But it may also, these seem to appear a lot in these Apollo images and may have been actually on the scanner itself, on the scanner screen. A lot of people don't clean these things, and of course it may have been a very old flatbed scanner that was used over a number of years and probably wasn't properly wiped over. So you do get these little artifacts in the images, okay? There's also this thing which I thought was really odd. Very odd indeed. What is that? It could be a UFO, but more likely it's a small piece of paper that's come off one of the photographs or something, and it's either stuck to the screen or is stuck to the actual photograph, okay? There's lots of little bits of damage to these images. They are quite old. They were taken many, many years ago. And there's also this little triangular sort of blob thing. That's probably a piece of paper. And there's also this damage here. I've highlighted it here. This looks like some kind of crease in the actual photograph itself, or a couple of scratches that have scratched away some of the pigment from the actual photograph. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. So you've got to familiarise yourself with the image damage before you start to look at the actual anomalies to differentiate between the two, because often they can overlap. But the main area we're looking at in this image today is right up here in the top left corner. There is another tower. Here it is, just here. Okay? And there are structures to the left of it here which look intelligent here. And there's also something here which looks like it's a sort of square structure sticking up. There's also some weird stuff down here. There's another image, part of the image here. I mean, there is a bit of pixelation here, but you can get rid of that. I'll show you that in a minute. There's something interesting going on here, but not all of it is brilliantly clear because it's a long, long way off, and only the very, very largest structures will show up in any detail, okay? So bear that in mind. There's also something weird by this crater near the center of the image, just here. Some kind of crazy structure. So I will try and bring these out for you, and if I don't show you them straight away, they will be in at the end of the video, okay, as usual. Right, there's also this down here. There's a square structure sticking up here with a long straight structure here, sticking right up there, can you see that? Okay, and there was this one which is very strange and looks like huge buildings here with a tower here. It looks a bit like the Shard in London, a recent skyscraper we built, and multiple structures next to it that seem to be sticking up. So I will put enhancements of these in at the end, and you'll have a good close-up look at them and make up your own mind, because some of these may be natural, but I'm sure some of them aren't, especially the tower. And as I always say with these things, if you find something like a tower in a crater or next to a crater, there are often things nearby which also look intelligent, because it's unlikely you would just get a tower on its own in the middle of nowhere. There would be other structures nearby to support it, and perhaps some kind of facility or something like that nearby. Now, that seems to make logical sense to me. Okay, right, so let's crack on with it. I'll show you the folder with my enhancements. Now I'm quickly going to flip through these. I'm going to try not to be too long here because it's quite a lot to get through. I'll show you the raw clip first and just flick through. Now, as always with these images, they're very pale, and you don't see a great deal of contrast in the image, but even before you do that, you can see that's a tower sticking up. So this is completely raw, nothing done to this. It's just been enlarged, and you can see already that there's a tower here, there's a line here sticking up, and this is very odd here, very straight, and there's some multiple structures in here. Now I appreciate you can't see them very well, but I will enhance this and show you in a second. Now there I've just straightened the image up, that's still raw, added contrast. Now it's starting to come out and you can start to see that really clearly just there. And there's definitely something here also, okay? So to save time, I'm going to go in with the enhanced clips that I have. Now here's the general area, and I've gone in quite heavy with the contrast here, and I've added a blue filter because that actually helps, especially if you're colorblind like some of us are. This can actually help you see the shapes better for some reason, and is why on certain websites like Facebook they use blue and white instead of black and white, because it just is easier on the eye, okay? And you can see that tower very, very clearly. Now, this isn't anywhere near as big as the giant white moon tower, and it's not the same one. This is a different one. It's a different area, and it's not anywhere near as big, but it's still very, very large indeed. I would say that may be something at least 1 kilometre high, possibly about a mile, but it's not 2 to 5 miles high like the giant white moon tower is. This is a bit smaller, but still very, very large indeed. And you can see next to it, there's upright structures here that look like a couple of skyscrapers or something, and there's this very large structure here, and if you look carefully you can see in here lots and lots of detail. I'll show you the later enhancement of that, where I've gone in a bit harder with the contrast again and really pushed. There is a tool on the PaintShop Pro 9 which I use, called the Clarify tool, and it's in the brightness settings, brightness and contrast, called Clarify, and that is really cool because what that does, you can just set the level of it. It really pushes stuff out, and you don't get this feature on PaintShop Pro. I mean, on Photoshop. You get it on PaintShop Pro, but not Photoshop. So this may explain why I get slightly better results than some people when enhancing these images, because that very simple tool really does help to push out brighter objects and shapes in the image, okay? So that's one thing I use a lot, and I used it a couple of times on here, and it's really pushed that white tower out, and these structures have come out nice and a lot brighter, okay? I've also added brightness and contrast on top of that as well. And you can see quite clearly the tower and multiple rectangular structures in here. There's another structure sticking up here, quite tall, not as bright as this one. And there's this here, which looks like part of this huge structure here, which looks like a massive hangar or bunker type structure. And inside that structure, you've got multiple uprights in here as well, okay? Multiple uprights. And the more you look at this, you think, well, hang on a minute. And you start looking behind it and you think, well, there's another upright structure here. There's more uprights here. There's a diagonal here, which is very straight. And there's more uprights over here. There's a cross shape here. This looks like a city. What else can I say? Multiple structures built on top of each other. Multiple story structures. Very, very large structures indeed. I mean, this is miles across here. Miles and miles. This is the size of a city. Now, I do appreciate that a lot of this may just be random stuff, especially up here in the corner. But it may just be out of focus and too far away. And the reason we're seeing this part of the image clearer is because it's more in focus and closer. And when you look at this image for a while, you begin to see stuff all over the place. Just here is a very bright looking, very large structure, which seems to be stuck up on a sort of plinth or plateau like structure here. That looks like it could be an intelligent structure. And there's lots of uprights and stuff in there as well. These are all over the place in this image, okay? Insane, absolutely insane. And this to me was very convincing, this angle here, and this upright here, and obviously the white tower here, and there's square structures in here, rectangular, huge structures. Bear in mind that this may well be something like 5 or 10 miles from here to here, okay? So these structures are massive, absolutely enormous, and are way bigger than anything we've got down here when you look at the general size. But they may look like a few very large structures, where in fact they're probably hundreds and hundreds of smaller structures built next to each other and on top of each other. but because of the resolution of the picture and the distance, we're not seeing them in full detail. So they tend to look like fewer, bigger structures rather than lots of smaller ones, okay? Which is the effect you would get if you were looking at a city from a great distance. A lot of the structures seem to kind of merge together in the image, okay? But I'm absolutely convinced this is not a natural crater or not natural topography. This is intelligent design. You can see uprights, you can see buildings, you can see all sorts here. I will try and bring these out a bit more and enhance this a bit more for you before the end of the video, and I'll stick it in at the end, okay? But there is also this area. Now this isn't as clear, a bit vague, some of this stuff, but this does look very unnatural, okay? And this is where to look, down here towards the left of the image, okay? Just there. I'll get that one up now. I'll start with the raw image, and even in the raw image you can see this structure here, that curve, and what looks like a, what can I say, another tower, but this one is more like the Shard in London. It's kind of like a more of a natural kind of curved shape, okay? And next to it you have other upright structures here, especially just here. I'm not saying all of this is unnatural and intelligent, but some of it does look that way. And when you enhance the contrast, like I've done here, you can see that sticking up, and you can see this sticking up. Okay? Insane, absolutely insane. Now I've gone in even harder with the contrast, and you can see it even more. You can see these uprights. You can see that tower-like thing sticking up. But this is different from the other stuff. This is more like a skyscraper, and you can actually see structure and shadow here as well, okay? So this would also be probably miles high, very, very large indeed. And whether the base of it is here or it carries on all the way down to here, it's hard to say, because there isn't enough detail to actually show that. But you do have some very upright looking structures here, okay? Especially here and here, okay? And I'll show you the one with the blue filter, because that's probably a bit clearer, and that's the brighter one. So yeah, a bit vague that. It looks a bit smoky in this area, and I do wonder whether there is some kind of gas on the surface, because you can see in some of these images like a smoky effect. Now, I'm not saying there's an atmosphere on the moon, but there may well have been in the past, and it may well have been a habitable surface with oxygen. As far as we know, we really don't know the true history of our moon. And these may have been built at such a time when there was an atmosphere on the actual planetoid, or moon as we call it. So don't rule that out. It's still early days yet. We've only been going to the moon since the 1960s. But an ancient culture in the past may have been advanced enough to go there before us. And this may explain these structures. Who these people were, I couldn't tell you. It kind of looks clearer if you sit back a bit from this one. If you get in too close, you can't see the shape so well, but that is sticking up. You can see it clearly. That is an upright structure here, okay? Just here. So there we go. That was about it for that. I will put more clips of other things in at the end. This one was weird. This one here. There's some kind of X-shaped thing there. I'll do an enhancement of that. Let me go back to the other one of these. There was something else that I haven't quite shown you yet. Further down, you've got the tower here. You've got what looks like a city around it, and to the left of it and behind it over here, you've got these uprights here. See them? Now some of it obviously is pixelation, but I don't think all of it is, because these are they're way bigger than the pixels, and they're too big to be. They're too big and they're too straight to be natural, especially these uprights here, okay? And if you look below here, you have this thing with an X-type structure. This is like upright columns with another possible intelligent structure here. So there may well be an awful lot more in this image, and I'm hoping in the coming weeks I'm going to be going through all the rest of the Apollo 8 magazines on Flickr. And I'll probably do all the other Apollo images eventually as well. I'll gradually go through the whole lot. And I promise you, we will find more towers, we will find more buildings, we will find more structures. And hopefully there will be a closer up, lower lower altitude shot of this area, which should hopefully show more detail. I can't promise that because I haven't seen it yet, but if we're lucky, there may well be more and closer images of this particular area on the moon, okay? I'm really hoping that's true because I want to see this up close. This is insane. This looks like a city, what can I say? And I mean, when you have a bright upright structure like that, which cannot be natural, then that makes all the rest of this possible, okay? Because you have multiple structures here. And I still can't quite get over this. I mean, and the more you look at this, the more you see. And it's just, it's quite mind-boggling. The scale of these structures is way and above anything we've got down here. And there do seem to be structures everywhere. This bright one here, that X-shaped thing here. I mean, this is insane. I just really hope we do get some, well, I do find some closer images of that particular area because it looks very interesting to me. Okay, guys. So yes, we have further confirmation of the giant white moon tower, as I showed you a minute ago, in my comments. So check out that video and check out the comments. And if you're an astronomer out there with a telescope, please try and find this and give me further confirmation. About 3 people so far have managed to spot this from Earth, and the most recent one is obviously the one I just read out to you in the comments, which is here, okay, from RB Libet. And thank you very much to RB Libet for that. That's great information. And he obviously seems like a very knowledgeable guy and knows what he's doing with his telescope, obviously. And I'm sure there are many more of you out there who could also confirm these structures. Whether you believe whether we landed on the moon or not is irrelevant, because of course the early Apollo images are not taken from the surface, they're taken from above the surface. So we did go around the moon. Whether you believe or not that Apollo 11 was real is up to you. I believe it is. I think some of the footage may have been doctored and faked, but I do think it was a real mission. I just think we didn't get quite a purely honest account of it. And there's still many secrets to come out about the Apollo 11 mission, I'm sure. But they did go, and even if you don't believe they landed on the moon, they did fly around the moon many times before that and took thousands upon thousands of images around the moon's surface, okay? Above the moon's surface. And these are the images I'm going to be concentrating on from Apollo 8, 9 and 10, okay, for now. And later on I'll probably go back to Apollo 16 and 15 and all the others, because there are some crazy, crazy structures here, and they can be seen from Earth. So thank you for everyone for writing in on this and confirming this for me, and I will see you soon.